Story 1. My friend, M30, was visiting me, F30, with his son Ace, call him Jacob. We were hanging out and decided to play some Mario Kart in the living room, while his son was playing a game on his iPad. His son then wanted to use the bathroom. He's been here before and knows where to go. I don't have children, but I feel like children, around 5 or 6, should be able to wipe themselves. However, my friend and his wife still clean him up and wipe him. We have since stopped playing and we're talking when we hear Jacob call out that he's done, meaning that he's waiting for someone to help him wipe. My friend groaned and didn't get up. He asked me if I could go clean up Jacob. I looked at him with a blank stare, which pissed him off. He scoffed and got up to go see Jacob. After 10 minutes they both emerged from the bathroom. My friend looks livid and says that he has shit on his shirt because of me. I don't even want to know how he ended up with shit on his shirt, and that I should have done it for him. He hates doing it and feels like it's his wife's job. I told him, well, thankfully I'm not his wife and I'll never clean up his son. He ended up cutting his visit short and left. I don't think I was the asshole, but his wife texted me later berating me for not doing this because my friend was having a very rough time. He lost his job and was depressed, I didn't know that, and visited me to clear his head. I felt bad because maybe I should have noticed that his demand was out of the ordinary and done it, now that I know how he felt. Edit, holy shit. I didn't expect this amount of comments. I'm a bit overwhelmed, but I'll try to read most comments. This situation is just so mind-boggling and bizarre that it kind of still feels surreal to me. Thank you for all the comments. I'll try to answer some questions I saw. Jacob is not disabled. His mother is really overbearing and just decides to do everything for him. My friend follows suit. Jacob will start school in September, he was homeschooled before. My friend has made sexist jokes before, but he did apologize profusely when it made me and his wife uncomfortable. This situation makes B believe that he was always inherently sexist. Comment 1. Clearly, it was your job, because you were born with a vagina. Never mind the fact it's his kid. /S. NTA obviously. Comment 2. NTA. But your friend is. He had no right to even ask that from you. And how would the child feel with a stranger coming in and wiping their butt? Comment 3. NTA. In no scenario is it your responsibility to tend to someone else's child in the bathroom when the child's able-bodied parent is there. At 5 or 6 the child should be able to do this on their own now. What will they do at school? Comment 4. NTA. What sort of entitled asshat thinks someone else should wipe their 5-year-old child's bottom when they are there and able? They also need to teach their kid to wipe his own bottom because this will become a huge social and schooling problem. Story 2. My mom left mine and my sister's dad when we were 2M and 1F for our stepdad. Our parents split custody of us, but as you can imagine, it was not a beautiful, everyone is BFFs kind of blended family. Dad was hurt. Dad still probably is in some ways. Mom is the one who told us what happened when we were still small, maybe when we were around 5 and 6, because she thought we were confused by the fact Dad wasn't going to meet her and my stepdad's baby and the fact we weren't around the baby all the time, which is something she thought we were sad about. We were never confused about Dad not being around the baby. We knew why. Because the baby was not his kid like we were his kids. We also weren't exactly sad because babies are loud and we loved our dads. His house had him, we had more outdoor space and we had kids to play with in the neighborhood. I think it did more harm than good the way Mom talked about it because she came across to us, like she wanted us to dislike Dad for being mad at her for leaving him for our stepdad. There was a point a year ago too where my sister said she felt like Mom wanted us to say we were glad it happened or something. I kinda got that too. But my sister could put it into words where I couldn't before. My parents don't really talk. I don't think Dad is mad anymore, but he's never going to go out of his way for Mom or our stepdad. I don't think he's wrong for that either. They don't care about his feelings. And our half-siblings aren't any of his concern, so it's never going to bother me. A couple of years ago my mom and stepdad got into a car accident while we were all in school. My sister and I were at Dad's that week, so he picked us up from school like normal. I'm not sure who asked or how many different people asked him, but at least one person asked if he could pick up my half-siblings from school when he picked us up. They were in different schools but they are right next to each other. My dad said no and he didn't take them. But someone communicated badly because my half-siblings were left there and it became a whole ordeal. My dad ended up being painted as the bad guy. My half-siblings were made very aware of the fact my dad didn't pick them up and how wrong others thought that was. My dad is now spoken about like he owed something and didn't follow through. My stepdad has called him a petty asshole. I'm tired of it, and when my mom and stepdad were bitching about how cruel he was to my half-siblings, I told them my dad didn't owe their kids anything, and given how much my half-siblings speak crap about my dad, they were making them just as entitled as the two of them are. That they should never have been told shit and should not think my dad owes them something. They tried to ground me for speaking to them that way, and I told them they were ridiculous and I was so done with them. My mom said I am the oldest and should be more compassionate and understanding. She also accused me of being like my dad. Comment 1. NTA. Your dad is under no obligation to care for your half-siblings. I've lived in 3 different states, US, and schools have always required at least 2 emergency contacts. The school is at fault for not going to their emergency contact list and calling those people. You simply spoke the truth. Your mom and stepdad don't want to accept any accountability for their roles in what led up to your dad's refusal, so they lashed out at you. Comment 2. NTA. And I'd just take it as a compliment that you are like your dad. Because she's implying you're not like her. And she is the person who cheated and broke up a family. And how do she and her new husband think it's okay to expect her ex on whom she cheated with new husband is person to expect help from? Don't they have other family and friends? That's pretty serious level entitlement right there. Comment 3. Your NTA, not at all. First of all, your dad was not obligated to pick up kids that weren't his. He doesn't even need a reason for that, but in this instance he had a couple of very good reasons. Not only his personal distress and discomfort, but also that this is the kind of situation where accusations fly left and right if something goes wrong. Good on your dad for having appropriate boundaries. Your dad should actually never have been asked in the first place. He was not the appropriate person and should not have been placed in that position. This is then entirely on the people who didn't communicate properly and find an appropriate person. I think it is fantastic that you are standing up for your dad. Your mom and stepdad are engaging in behaviors designed to drive a wedge between you and your dad, which is both unfair and harmful to you. They're trying to basically cover up their own poor behavior by painting him as the bad guy whenever they can. They can't accept responsibility. Comment 4. Gonna go with NTA unless explicitly agreed with your dad. He probably legally couldn't have picked them up since he legally is not related to them. Even if he was on file thanks to your mom as an adult that could collect them if your dad wasn't consulted, it would be a tough legal situation. Finally, I get THR impression your dad has almost no relationship with these kids, so he probably wants to stay out of it altogether. Story 3. I, 49F, have been with my husband Bill, 53M, for the past 20 years. Bill had 2 children from his previous marriage, Jim, 31M, and Paige, 27F. We also have 1 biological child together, Harry, 16M. Jim's and Paige's mom passed away. They were 9 and 5. I met Bill around 2 years after his former wife had died. When I started building a relationship with the kids, I made it clear that I was not going to replace their mom and would be a trusted figure whom they could approach if they ever needed me. That being said, I still made an effort to treat them like I would my own child. I would take them to school, pick them up, take them to doctor's appointments, make their lunches, ask my parents to get them presents for Christmas and birthdays, etc. Both kids were somewhat hostile towards me at first, which I understand because they lost their mom. However, Paige eventually warmed up to me and saw me as a trusted confidant and maternal figure. She didn't ask me, nor did I expect her to want me to adopt her, but she still calls me mom, which I appreciate. Jim, on the other hand, continued to be mean and hostile. I have never treated him poorly or antagonized him. Nevertheless, he would make misogynistic statements like it's your job as the woman to clean the dishes when I would ask him to clean his plate, or call me a bitch when my back was turned. My husband told him many times that the way he was treating me was uncalled for and for us to go to family therapy, but he always refused. He eventually moved out after reaching adulthood. He continues to maintain contact with his father and siblings, but it's minimal between him and me, and even then he doesn't treat me well. Now I have an engagement ring that is a family heirloom for several generations. It is passed down from the mother to the oldest child. My husband got the ring from my mom to propose to me. I told all 3 children about this heirloom a few years ago. Anyway, Jim currently has a girlfriend whom he intends to propose to. He called me out of the blue one day and asked if he could have the ring. I told him no. When he asked why, I told him it was because of how he has treated me all these years and how he continues to treat me, and I don't want my family heirloom going to someone who sees me as vermin. When he asked whom it would go to, I told him it would go to Paige when she gets engaged. When he heard this, he lost his shit and accused me of playing favorites. I eventually hung up when he wouldn't stop insulting me and blocked his number. My husband is on my side, but his maternal relatives have all been blowing up my phone telling me what an asshole I am. So AITA? Comment 1. Wait, you're not even his biological mom. Why does he need your family heirloom if he hasn't welcomed you into his family? You are giving it to your oldest child, I'm assuming. Meaning the oldest child that has accepted you as family, not the oldest biological child. NTA, he's had plenty of time to grow up and treat you like a real person. If his maternal family is so concerned, you should ask them where his mother's family ring is. Comment 2. NTA. Jim is an entitled asshole. Paige deserves that ring. Your stepson's maternal relative shouldn't have any input on where your family ring goes. I'm glad your husband is supporting your decision. Comment 3. IMO, no one is entitled to that ring before you're ready to take it off. TBH, I wouldn't have thought it would go to either of your stepchildren as it's an item from your side of the family, but you obviously have deep feelings for your stepdaughter, while your stepson has made it vividly clear that he is not your oldest child, so NTA. Comment 4. It is passed down from the mother to the oldest child. Jim has made it extremely clear that you aren't his mother and he isn't your child. Period. End of discussion. Story 4. This is a throwaway, as my name implies. I know the title makes this sound very open and shut, but there are some key details that might make me the asshole. My F42, 17-yo, who I will refer to as B here, was recently invited on a vacation to Benidorm with my sister, F38, and her family. I had absolutely no issue with them going. I was rather touched that my sister offered to take them, and just a little upset that my younger daughters, F12 and F9, weren't invited, but I just thought that was down to their age, and I'm not expecting my sister to take on 3 of my kids while juggling 3 of her own, even for just a week. A few days ago, I was chatting with a mutual friend of mine and my sister's, and she mentioned something about how kind it was of B to look after my sister's kids while on vacation. I was taken aback as this was the first I'd heard of it. I called my sister and asked if maybe B had offered to keep an eye on them. She told me no, B hadn't offered, and she hadn't asked them to, but she was sure B wouldn't mind babysitting while her and her husband enjoyed themselves. I didn't take this well, and my sister said B can always say no and they'd understand, but here's the thing, B is autistic. They are very susceptible to manipulation, and my sister knows they have a hard time saying no. I told her that if the only reason she invited B was free childcare for her and her husband to bar hop Benidorm, then they won't be going. I had to break it to B that they can't go to Benidorm, and obviously they were devastated, and my sister and her husband have been calling me all the assholes under the sun, telling as much of the family that will listen that I'm breaking B's heart and they only wanted to take them on a fun vacation and maybe teach them some responsibility as they're going to have a family of their own to take care of someday. My parents and husband are on my side, but my brother thinks I'm being too protective and I need to loosen the reins and let B make the decision for themselves. I've explained the situation to B, and asked them if they'd be happy looking after their cousins on vacation, and B said that they'd prefer to go to have fun, and they've decided they don't want to go anymore, so this is, ultimately, B's decision. I personally don't think I'm the asshole, but now I'm wondering if my brother and sister are right and I'm just wrapping B up in cotton wool, so Reddit, AITH? Comment 1. NTA. The fact that they were planning on asking B when they were already on the holiday is manipulative and coercive. B seems happy with the decision, and your sister is just bitter that her horrible little plan didn't work out. Comment 2. NTA. What a manipulative thing to do, using your teenager as free childcare under the guise of a vacation. You were right to intervene. Comment 3. NTA. They had no intention of asking B to babysit. It was legit going to be a situation where they show up and go, here are the kids, here's money for food, we'll be back in a couple hours, have fun, and they'd never get a single second of time alone or to explore or have fun because they'd be babysitting. And they'd keep doing it, promising a fun and amazing vacation only to leave them at the hotel with the kids. They know that was their plan and now they can't do that, hence the flipping out. That didn't ask because they knew it was wrong. Edit, pronoun fix. Comment 4. NTA. The fact that a mutual friend told you about your sister's plan means she had planned it, and knew if she told you, or B, you likely wouldn't have agreed. Emo.